hello listeners. Welcome to yet another HR Talks podcast by uKnowva on decoding the shift in the global hiring strategies in 2026. So, AI is rapidly changing the global hiring landscape. In 2026, AI was cited as the reason behind 40% of announcements of US job cuts, while PwC found that AI exposed entry level roles are now 7 times more likely to demand senior level skills. So, while AI has not triggered mass unemployment yet, it is fundamentally changing how companies hire, train, and evaluate talent. And to discuss that, we have a very special guest today, Rajesh Swaminathan, who is a global hiring industry leader with 20 plus years of experience in mobilizing talent globally from junior to leadership roles. And not just that, he's a revolutionary speaker in 20 plus podcasts. And I think this is going to be 21st or maybe more than that today. And he's
I
a
think 21st.
yeah, so he's an incumbent thought leader as well in HR and leadership articles and verticals on LinkedIn with 1.6 million impressions that he has garnered in the last 1 year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rajesh.
Almost 1.6 plus, close to
Yeah.
1.7 also.
Yes, so each post of his is like a mini masterclass to me for sure. So, welcome to our podcast, Rajesh.
Most welcome.
So,
Looking forward.
before we dive into our main topic today, which is global hiring strategies, Rajesh, I want to know you personally, okay? And just tell me about your story. What drew you towards HR as a profession?
Everything happens by accident. So even HR by acc- happened by accident.
Hmm.
It was just that everybody needed to get into a company. That's
Yes.
when everybody needed a job. So
Hmm.
like any youngster, I also applied. I went through a process and then I got into a job which was purely into facilities and administration. And
Okay.
then one fine day, because of lack of people or whatever, something triggered my boss, and he said, "Just look at this paper." So that
Hmm.
paper was called resume, or you can call it as a curriculum. Those days we call it a CV, right? So that's what
Yes.
one. I looked at it. So one became two, two became three, and then now
Hmm.
today it crossed 8,000 plus. And that was an
Yes.
accident actually. There was no planned move. I'm just a BCom graduate. I have not
Hmm.
done my MBA. I don't believe in masters, or I don't believe in the classroom training. So everything I gained was through real time experience, going and
True.
meeting people, understanding them. So every stage has been a learning. Every content comes from those experiences, which whatever I share on LinkedIn, and
Right.
that's how the HR journey started. So what I studied and what I'm doing has no connection. They say, right, if you have to be a good leader, you should not implement what you studied. I think I have done that again and again and again repeatedly. So I can proudly say that I'm a part of that particular zone where what I've studied has no relevance to what I'm doing.
Right. That's fantastic. But what about the challenges that you have faced over the years? You must have definitely faced some challenges, right?
I
Being
faced
an
many challenges. Yeah, yeah. There is nothing called as something which is easy.
hmm,
Everything has its own set of challenges. Every stage of hiring had its challenges. We've
hmm,
had so much of time. When I started hiring, it was more like trying to project the company. You do the marketing, you do the gimmicks, you try to pull in people. How many
oh,
closures you made, the heads, how many have come in,
right,
based on
right.
that to get
Headhunting.
your
Hmm,
appraisal or your performance. So I've been through that cycle. Then
hmm,
I've changed my approach where I've started making more authentic you know this
hmm.
thing. So every time whenever there is the process will be there, you'll have backouts, you'll have lies from the candidates. When I go to the, there was a lot of scenarios where I had to send candidates to Singapore. So when I landed in the airport with passport and their ECNR clearance, which we used to do, the guy never turned up there. We
What?
just finished. Yeah, there have been scenarios like that where we had to face the brunt, tell the customer that it was a no-show. So I faced
Oh,
that scenarios also. It has not been a very easy ride. It's been very tough. And getting a
hmm,
candidate to trust yourself over a phone or something like that is a huge challenge. It doesn't come
hmm,
overnight. It's a practice.
hmm.
It has to be done every day, and it will only be built. The trust will be built based on how we conduct ourselves on a consistent basis. So today, if you're talking about all those 19,000 plus followers, or if you're
Hmm.
talking about the 8,000 plus people whom I placed, One common
Yes.
thread I've consistently maintained is authenticity. I don't sell bodies, I don't do
Hmm.
marketing, I keep it
Hmm.
throughout. But everywhere there has been every step has been a challenge. Either the candidate
Yeah.
will not show up, or the candidate will not crack the interview. The blame
Hmm.
will come on us. Or
Yeah.
if he doesn't show in the interview, the blame will come on us. Or
Damn.
after the offer is rolled out, he doesn't, take up the offer and join, the blame will be on us. If we do not satisfy a requirement where the requirement is on the active stage, say it has crossed, aging has crossed 60 days, 70
Hmm.
days, SLA will come on us. So
Hmm.
everywhere there is a red chip which is waiting for, to take its shape. But the biggest highlight is it's been very challenging. And as I said,
Hmm.
right, in beautiful in English we say,
Hmm.
recruitment is nothing but enablement. You
Right.
are an enabler, and you are a
Hmm.
brand ambassador to the
Hmm.
ecosystem where you work. Because I don't represent a company, I represent an ecosystem. And I'm
Hmm.
getting a job for somebody where I'm trying to enable this life. So
Hmm.
more than this company, my relationship with them will be all the more important, because wherever I travel, whichever company I go, there will be some need for that specific skill, because IT is an ecosystem where we need to
Right.
have that
Right.
give and take going. So there have
So,
been challenges, there have been difficulties, but we'll have to take it on a scenario-based thing, come up with our own story. So there's a lot of reinvention I have to do, rethinking I have to do.
hmm.
Lots of pressure was there. Some
Hmm.
bosses are very, they call, in Hindi, kadus. They're very
Hmm.
strict, very stringent. I have faced those kind
Right.
of bosses. I have faced
Hmm.
people who are very soft. I faced
Hmm.
people who are very number-driven, who are
Hmm.
politics-driven. So I've cut across all kinds of bosses in the last 20 plus years. So it's not been.
Okay. So you have faced a great spectrum of people and organizations as well. And you have formed your own strategies. Can I say that? Ki according to people that you meet, or according to the candidates that you encounter with, or according to the organizations, you change your approach to enablement. Is that right?
Absolutely. That is where we stay relevant, right? If we are going to be adamant in our approach, we'll be left out. So every organization is a new journey.
Hmm.
Every candidate is a new journey. Every requirement is a new journey. Every story should be new. So we'll have to reinvent ourselves every day. Otherwise, getting 8,000 numbers is not easy. You need to go through a lot of cycles. So for me to achieve that number, I would have spoken to almost 2.5 lakh candidates. So
Oh.
imagine the kind of people whom I would have indirectly mentored them or guided them. They all
Hmm.
don't come under the numbers, but
Hmm.
there have been a lot of candidates who came to the last minute, customer
Hmm.
backdoor of the project. So we'll have to
Hmm.
let them go. It's not only in India. I'm talking about overseas, UK,
Yes.
Europe,
Hmm. Hmm.
Africa,
Hmm.
MENA region,
Hmm.
Middle East, ANZ,
Hmm.
Japan, China. I've gone to travel to China and set up teams. So it's not just one particular. So what works in UK in India will not work in UK. UK should be a very polished communication, be it English writing or
Hmm.
communication.
Hmm.
Sweden people are very soft.
Hmm.
Ireland people are very soft.
Hmm.
There is a different set of communication.
Hmm.
Filipinos are very soft. They are
Hmm.
different set. Sri Lankans are, very methodical. So they have to,
Hmm.
they keep up the word. Those are
Hmm.
the good things about some of the people. UK are very arrogant. So that is how it is. So it all depends on what region you do, how you need to align yourself, be it internal stakeholders,
Hmm.
the candidates, or the
Hmm.
stakeholders. Stakeholders will have their own king size ego. Everybody
Hmm.
will be in their outdated mindset. We need to break the pattern, otherwise we'll be in trouble. I have been in
Right.
trouble several times.
So, like you have seen a very large spectrum of different origins, right? But do you think there is any difference in the leadership? You talked about people and their mindsets, right? But has leadership changed or evolved in any way, especially after the emergence of AI? In AI's involvement in people enablement.
No, I think leaders will remain the same. There will be no change in their approach. Only thing, they'll have to adapt to the
Hmm.
tools and technologies, and they have to see how they can automate to get things done. Earlier,
Hmm.
when we used to search for resumes, it will take a lot of time because we
Right.
used to do it manual. It's a laborious process. Now,
Hmm.
since the automation has come, it has speeded up a little. So the
Hmm.
leaders have to use their intelligence to try and see how they can mitigate those timelines and still dirty their hands at the end of the day
Yeah.
to make decisions. So that AI cannot take away. Or in terms of the hungry, for the leader to be hungry, because he should be a good hands-on guy. So whenever he is trying to give directions to the team, he should have first dirtied his hands, then only he can give direction. So those are the things where leaders should be relevant in, even in today's thing. He cannot have what he did 3 years back approach today. He need to
Right,
change
right.
his approach. He need to become more adaptable towards the current scenario. For example, today leaders are requested to be hands-on. It's not like those days where you have 20 people under you and all that. So I have handled 25-member team, 15-member team. I've handled 5-member team. I've evolved
Okay.
based on the company needs. So today I'm just having about 2 to 3 people because this company doesn't require so many people to handle. So I've handled 25-member team, 20-member team. Depending on the company size, I have adopted myself. But wherever I go, I'm very much in relevance and I'm very much hands-on. So I don't depend on the team. And second thing is when a customer is handled or stakeholder is handled, they'll only look at the output. They'll not look at whether your team spends time or you spend time. At the end of the day, output matters. Delivery matters.
True. But tell me something that over the years, you might have had any mentors or, idols to look forward to, some people that you have learned from, not someone who you have worked with as a people enabler, but someone who you have learned from with respect to recruitment or your entire HR journey. Is there someone like
Yeah,
that?
there have been people who have been distant admirers. There have been mentors in my first company. I worked with him. Though I worked with him, he is still a mentor. We are still in touch. So he was a part of the first company. He was the one who initiated everything and got me into the IT space. He encouraged me. He had given me the confidence. So he was a part of several advisory boards. He was part of CEO of several companies. So like him, there are about 3-4 people. I don't want to name them now, but there were about 3 to 4 mentors who were there who initially guided me. And then apart from IT, I have outside mentors also who told me, how to do. If you're not doing in one field, you need to expand yourself. So that is when, all these ideas came and I started implementing. I just don't want to be a storyteller only to a candidate. I wanted to be a storyteller to the outside world. So I started giving, getting into things like stages, talking to people, opening a podcast, started writing content. All these were various skill areas I started putting in because of those people's suggestion and guidance which needs rest all I have to develop. They will not be there to come and support. So everything was done on my own, but initially they were the ones who motivated me.
Gave you a push basically, right, to in the right direction.
Correct. They enabled me. They bought in the talent in me. They kept pushing me. So there were about 4-5 people who did that. So I'm always thankful to them. And I think you should have a lot of gratitude to whoever is bringing you into the field. I have that. I don't know about others, but I think I still have it 100%.
That shows in each of your LinkedIn posts, to be honest, that you have the humbleness and the gratitude. And then we met on the roundtable as well. So I know that shows in the way you communicate and greet people. So Rajesh, let's get back to the main topic of the hiring in AI world. Today we see that AI is reshaping jobs, skills, and hiring strategies globally. Okay, what's your perspective on how AI is changing the workforce?
I think it's very important that those tools, whatever has been identified for recruitment or for hiring, that has to be optimally utilized for the best possible outcome so that we get the right kind of resumes. It's not that it is helping in 30 to 40% of mundane tasks, but still the balance 60%, 70% has to be handled by the people who are there. So we have to take our independent decisions. We cannot go by AI's ability to say that this person is bad in communication. What if that person is good? Because there's been a lot of scenarios where somebody has been found to be bad by AI as a communicator, but the person is not bad in communicating. And I also tested it out in some of the AI tools which I use using Naukri or LinkedIn, and I find that some of the things they shortlist using AI, it's not up to the level. It's still can be only 20%. Balance 60-70%. We have to do it. So I'm not very sure about people claiming that I'm getting 50% of my work done through AI. Rest is, it can be done for a mundane work where there are 100 positions. There you need to use AI to only shortlist resumes. The first level calling. But still the second level, third level has to be done by us. So those are the only areas I feel AI is helping. And then the data. Like for example, when I go and search for a skill, the tool will show me whether this particular skill with multiple combinations is available to me. So it will help me to make an informed decision whether to go for that
Right.
or look at other tools. So such things it helps. Dashboard it helps. Your decision making ability becomes fast, but still all the other areas only will be with you. Your judgment capability, you spotting a talent, your emotional touch, all that will not go away. So that will be
Yeah.
there. It is a combination of 60-30, 60-40, depending on our needs. If it's a bulk hiring, then it's a different ball game. If it's going to be very critical positions, it's a different ball game. Where you need to use them to only get the CVs, do a 5%, 10% of talking, balance 60-70%, you take care. So instead of 1,000 resumes, it might come down to 300 resumes or 200 resumes. Then you split those resumes based on the shortlist, and then you talk to them. So you are saving time. Before it was taking 2 weeks, now probably it is taking about 3 days. So that is going to take.
Like when there are like 1,000 resumes, you can use AI and then trickle down to like 100 or 200 resumes, and then
again,
make
to tell you very frankly, even till today, there's been always been turnaround time has been fastest. I don't believe now that my turnaround time will not be more than 4 hours. I will still today maintain that. If it's a very niche skill, I'm not able to get it, then it's a different ballgame.
And you're talking about without AI?
Without AI. My turnaround time has always been 4 hours. Otherwise, I cannot achieve 8,000 numbers. It's next to impossible. I don't waste time. I spot talent. I attack 10 people. In that, I spot about 3-4. My gut feel says good to go. It goes. And invariably, I see success there. I don't speak to 100 candidates and waste time. I only channelize my energy. Energy saving is very important. Even if I spend 2 hours, my output is done. So the 2 hours I sit, it's done for the day. So it's done for that.
And what happens? How do you strategize, or how do you change your approach? For instance, after even 4 hours, you're not able to spot a certain talent, or maybe
I will change the search criteria. I will change the story. It will not be the same story. I will change it even more better. I will go to the granular level. First level, if I'm not satisfied, then I go to the granular. Then I go to different tools. I don't use only one tool. I might use Google. I might use other tools which can widen the opportunity. So at the same time, I'll have 7-8 screens where the search will be on continuously, and whatever output comes, connect, message, talk, quickly do it within that 1 or 2 hours, and the CV goes out of my inbox.
And what happens when your own leadership or the management disagrees with your hiring strategy at that moment, for a particular hire? Like obviously there will be clashes, right, at times when the management disagrees. How do you pivot at that level? Do you take a second opinion or second approach from AI or other tools, or what happens then?
I don't generally I don't go to the stakeholders and waste their time. Once the JD is given, it's very clear. I will only try to work around on the JD and with the candidate and see how I can maximum bring it to 80%. The percentage will vary from 60 to 80, depending on the need. So when I know that I'm touching close to 75-80, it is always a win-win scenario. So it's a question of how do I manage that 50 to 80. That is where your resume, the thought process of the candidate, the common discussions we have, everything comes down to time, right? You have a time, you value time with the candidate, you value time with the stakeholder and with the customer. So that is very crucial at every stage. So time plays a very important role.
I think what we can learn from you or any of our listeners from this is that you follow a very sharp strategy or very focused approach, right, in spotting talent and the right candidate. So besides that, as I narrated the AI news today, around 40% job cuts in US have been annotated to AI. What do you think is happening at the entry level? As we discussed about the mundane tasks as well, that AI is taking over the mundane tasks, at least to cut down some time. But do you think it is the end of the traditional or entry level career ladder? Like even interns would be required to do something more than their traditional work. What's your your take on that?
The only thing I would say is, you need to get into the top 10% if you're a fresher. When I say top 10%, you should be extremely good in other skills. Your communication should be phenomenally good. You should have a good storytelling skills. You should have good analytical and logical skills. These are things which will always keep you in good state, irrespective of what happens to the 10%, those freshers. So you will have to be in the 10% where you are competing with a lot of people. How you do that is how you make your story interesting, what kind of intern projects you do, and what is that you're going to showcase on the resume which will make you stand out, and how you're going to talk about your story to the thing. Again, your communication comes and plays a very important role. So how you communicate matters, what story you would say matters, how you are able to impact so that you're not in the 90% but you're still in the 10%.
Okay.
So those are the only things which will help those people to do it. Of course, you have to learn your AI tools, you have to learn your domain, you have to be supremely good in both, so that you can bring both the things, they can complement each other. And then how you are as a personality, whether you're enterprising, whether you go along with people, what are your hobbies, all these will play a role. So if you're in the first year, if by the time you finish your college, you start putting content on LinkedIn. So 4 years, you would have a lot of time where you build your story, you build your brand. So brand comes before yourself. So that is how you have to be known. The freshers have to be known as a brand. Today, nobody knows where I work. They only know me as a brand. Then only they'll, okay, I work at this company. So that is how everybody should approach. Not only freshers, the experience, all. So if you want to be in the 10%, you need to come up with your own USP, because everybody is replaceable one day. So you have to make sure that you are putting your story interestingly. That is when you will stay relevant. Otherwise, you will be left out, because everybody is passing out. What is so special about it? College will not teach you communication. College will not teach you, your story skills. College will not teach you curiosity and all that. All those things you have to develop outside your network. When you go to an event, how you are by going around and talking to people, how much net worth you have from there, and from there, what stories you put on LinkedIn, what projects you do, what is the uniqueness you are able to bring. Suppose I'm going to approach a company and I'm an intern. I want to approach a company. So when I see the company's website, I come up with a lot of points, say, so these are the problems, these are the potential solutions I would like to offer free of service. So they will think, okay, this intern is thinking differently, so let me offer the job, because he's talking about solutions than problems. So they don't want people who are problematic. They want people who need solutions. So everybody towards
So there's also one strategy or approach from the candidate's side that is coming up, or there are multiple tools as well, where candidates, tweak their resumes according to the company or the job profile, and their resumes keep changing according to the job profile. Is that what you are referring to? That we have to change our portfolio or resume according to certain job roles?
See, there are two aspects here. One is your requirement is not going to be stable. Every requirement has its own story. If you're going to have a standard resume, that particular resume may not fit into that specific story. So you need to bring your project experience, or you need to bring those experiences and show it as a story in your experience, so that it becomes very interesting for them, because every audience will be different. So if your resume talks about those basic things which are very interesting, then it gets into the next stage. Otherwise, what happens is, if you're giving a standard resume, it will not go through, because they are not interested in those aspects. They are interested specifically in what is that you have done in this specific area, this technology. That is what I will be interested in. So you need to project those aspects. It's not that you keep changing your resume based on the company. You need to you need to bring your best resume based on the need, and provided you have that areas you have met. For example, some people are very, very good in communicating things, but might not be excellent in articulating in the resume. So they need to bring those nuances in the resume. So they cover almost 70-80% there. Then it's what story you say when you come on the interview.
Right. So we can say that apart from credentials, experience, or AI prowess or AI enablement in a candidate, these skills like storytelling, communication, articulation, and what they bring to the table for any organization are a top priority today,
and
right?
Curiosity, adaptability are the most important things. Apart from this, they need to have all those six. They need to master all those six skills. That is very, very important.
Great. So let's talk about at a global level. Which countries or talent marketplaces do you think are emerging around the globe today in the AI economy as winners in talent enablement, and which regions or countries do you think are falling behind with respect to AI and adaptability?
No, I think there is a lot of opportunity in the Middle East, which I see. There's enough opportunity, especially on the AI side and technology side. I can see a lot of openings there. I can see a lot of openings in India, because I can see companies advertising, especially on AI and skills they require. Companies recently, I think CTA Cognizant has announced that they want to hire a lot of people. I saw the news coming around, so there's a huge potential there. And there was also one interview yesterday I was seeing with one of those, I think one of the big MNCs. So they mentioned about, I forgot the name of the person, but he was saying that there is a lot of opening coming up after you get into the AI space. It's not that it's going to go down. There are going to be many more openings coming up, and there's a lot of yeah, and also there is opportunities in the US now. I think there's been a lot of recent changes where Trump has discussed with Modi, and there's a lot of technical specialists required to support US. Whether they go there and do it, or whether it's going to be from offshore, it is again depending on company to company. But there is a lot of need where you have to have AI as a key technology, and coupled with that, your other things will add value. So if you're an experienced person, you need to bring those nuances and you need to show it in the resume, so that you are very much in demand. And if you're a fresher, you need to bring those beautiful stories in place.
So senior people don't need stories. Are you telling me that?
Senior people also require stories of different kind, but they have to be AI enabled, because everywhere now they need to have handled AI projects. So they are looking for people who have the multi skills. Singapore is now opening up for opportunities. Japan is opening up. There is a lot of opportunities which it keeps advertising. They want people. Then there is Middle East, which is opened up with opportunities. So it all depends on who wants to grab it and where they want to travel. But there is a lot of opening for AI people.
Okay, but what kind of industries or regions that are falling behind, or the regions or industry that are yet to adapt to AI or the future of work or future of workers, but are still falling behind?
No, I think most of the industries now are having AI tools in place, be it logistics, be it manufacturing, be it healthcare. Healthcare has adopted big time. So we have a lot of AI-driven tools which they have doing it very fast, and there's a lot of innovations coming into healthcare. So it's a very, very happening this thing that they were the first movers, and then banks are very skeptical because of the economic and socio and governance ESG issues. So their data governance is very, very crucial. So that debate is going on. It is adopted AI in a very small way. It is still to adopt fully. But other places like manufacturing, oil and gas, and all these guys are now, going on adopting, but percentage is not gone more than 20-30. So whether it is going to at 50%, 60%, 100%, we don't know. But right now it is hovering between 20 to 30 across industries.
Across industries.
Healthcare is the topmost thing I can think of. Otherwise, biotechnology, healthcare, energy, all these guys are, adopting AI for a lot of decision making and other processes.
So if AI is integrated into talent marketplaces or HRMS platforms like our own organization, so because of that we are moving towards a certain aspect that is predictive analysis and smarter and data driven decision making. And I just want to know your take on how do you see such technologies today? It's AI, right, or agentic AI, and then we will have MCP or autonomous HR, headless HR that we're talking about, and it will keep changing, right? It's not just one technology. But how do you think it is reshaping recruitment or talent enablement, workforce planning, or talent management?
So I think, as you said,
Yeah.
you completed, no? Yeah, you wanted to complete.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know how it is reshaping the entire talent enablement, recruitment, or workforce planning today, or how it's going to shape in the nearest future.
Again, when you say predictive analytics, if you look at predictive analytics, we used to use it for a lot of campaigns which we used to launch for outbound campaigns in the contact center. That is when these predictive analytics were used those days for
Hmm.
calling. For example, one campaign will have alternate days to call, another
Hmm.
campaign will have this specific time to reach based
Hmm.
on the peak where the customers are, the target audience are. So all
Right.
those combinations were configured, and we used to do a predictive dialing. So in
Hmm.
that, the dialer used to give output. So
Okay.
similar to that, what happened was once that predictive dialer started giving output, we used to make informed decisions. So the entire process was automated. So one
Hmm.
is it gets automated.
Hmm.
Second is there is a data point for us to look at it and see how the patterns are. Accordingly, make our informed decision from a HR point of view.
Hmm.
Basically, if I'm hiring for India, you take various cities. So I want to know for certain specific skills which city is uh, good. So I can use the predictive analytics to decide on that part. That is one. Same way, if I have to look at
Hmm.
internal employees, right? And if some employees
Yeah.
are performing poorly, some employees are performing good, how those predictive analytics will come up with the parameters where how this person has
Hmm.
been performing in the past, how is it going to be in the future. Similar to that, skills hiring. So everywhere, this predictive analytics will be useful for making some decisions. But again, the final
Hmm.
decision is with us. It will be only an inference or indicative decision for the
Hmm.
road ahead. So what is that which will happen 1 year down the line? Which are the potential skills? Which are the
Hmm.
potential people whom I can reskill them? All those
Hmm.
things will come up in the form of a report, dashboards where I
Right.
can analyze and then
Hmm.
come up with. So all these things can be automated. That is where the
Hmm.
AI has come. The automation has happened. So earlier
Right.
everything was done manually. Now it's all automated. Now
Hmm.
it's all coming in the form of a beautiful dashboards, maybe Excel, maybe other beautiful pie chart.
Right.
Ultimately, everything comes down to our decision. What
Hmm.
is our gut feel? How we can look at those
Right.
and do things.
So I have a very interesting question right now after all this discussion. Supposedly, if a 22-year candidate has to apply for a job, and for the same job a 45-year-old experienced professional is applying, what do you think would make the candidate stand out in an AI first organization?
His hands-on ability on the tools, his storytelling capability, and
Hmm.
whether he is relevant to today's that particular need, whether it's 22 or 45.
Hmm.
Experience plays a part, but experience alone is not enough. You need to be relevant. You need to
Hmm.
have the usage on tool. You need to be hands-on. You need to be
Hmm.
good in your decision-making ability. All
Hmm.
that is something which we will look at if it's a 22 year, and if I find it to be very good,
Hmm.
experience can always be matched with training the person. Maybe it might
Right.
not happen overnight, but it can
Hmm.
happen in 1 or 2 years. So attitude and hunger to learn and curiosity
Hmm.
skills are very, very important for a 22-year-old compared to the 45.
45.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's what I
And
feel.
I think these are the skills that you look in a senior professional as well. Matlab, I just wanted to know what is the comparison that you will make between the two individual if you're coming from an AI first organization.
Again, senior performer critical thinking is very important, because when you
Hmm.
look at a senior performer, you will have multiple team people. You'll be handling multiple
Right.
stakeholders. How
Hmm.
we handle tough situations, how is his critical thinking, what is going to be the unique proposition he is going to value add to every part of it, because that is what
Hmm.
company is paying him huge money for. Even if he brings
Hmm.
AI, this critical thinking, these are all the things which he needs to use Claudia and all
Hmm.
those other LLM tools to come up with those inferences and showcase to the
Hmm.
management that I am
Hmm.
coming up with this output in the next 6 months, 3 months. These are my best possible scenarios. So those intelligence have to be derived with an experienced person using the AI to educate the
Hmm.
management, to give direction, vision, what is the purpose and all that. Otherwise, there's no
Hmm.
point, right? Why should I pay company pay so much and have it? They can very well have many agents and keep a mid-level person and make the
True.
decision, right? Cost can be seen.
So I think these are all the skills or capabilities which any candidate, be it senior or a fresher, should invest in for like maybe next 5 to 10 years. Can we say that?
At least for the next 3 years, I would say. 5 years is a very long time. Today we can
Hmm.
talk 2 to 3 years, and say that, if he can invest in all these skills and consistently work on it and then come up to one level, I think he will be good as far as his other capabilities goes. When I say other capabilities, enterprising skills, soft skills and all that. Apart from that, what are the tools which he will be able to learn along with your domain together is what will take him to the next place. Your consulting ability or your domain ability, these two things AI will not replace. You need domain experts, you need consulting experts still to be there. So whether he can work as a freelance person or whether he's going to be a full-time or whether he's going to continue with the company, after 2-3 years we will know whether full-time employment itself is there. Not sure.
True. So I have last two questions with you before we wrap up this podcast. What's the biggest misconception do you think business leaders or management have today about AI blended with global hiring strategies?
I think the biggest thing is everybody's following, so let me also follow. If I don't follow AI, I'm being left out. That is a very wrong misconception. There's a lot of forced AI, adoption happening, which is not required for a lot of companies because they don't have such huge hiring or they don't need to have such huge tools to make decision. Only when there is a lot of employees, where there are 10,000 employees or where you need to hire mass hiring, then having AI makes a difference. When you're having a very small size organization, I don't think AI is required. Neither the world should be forced to know that you have adopted because everybody is adopted. So that is one misconception a lot of people are doing, and there's a huge investment which is going into AI. The money which is going into AI it's draining out. Compared to the human, it's a lot costlier because you need to maintain the system. It requires a lot of electricity, it requires water, it requires other aspects. So it's not going to be easy. And then the security part, the governance. How are the governance being maintained? There's always a big security threat. The ESG part is still there's no proper this thing. Whether how you are socially responsible, how the governance is taken care, what is going to be the economic scenario. All these things we do not have a clear-cut answer. So those are the challenges which I see a company should be wary about before making a decision and investing on AI. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very tough.
Okay. I think that was a very insightful and beautiful podcast that we had today. And I just have a wrapping up question with you for our listeners. What do you think, what kind of workplace do you hope today's HR and business leaders should create for the next generation entering the AI native organization or the world?
Very transparent, non-hierarchical, anybody can approach anybody. And give a lot of freedom to work. Don't get behind people in terms of ROI and do micromanagement. Nobody will like it. Gen Z will never ever like it. So go with relevance and give them their space, because at the end of the day everybody is working for the company. There is nothing called as somebody who's taking extra by giving them the freedom. Everybody should be given transparent freedom and then maximum opportunities for them to come and express their skills. Companies should open up and ask ideas, open to ideas, and keep a suggestion box where everybody can contribute and grow. So it's always mutual growth is what companies should look forward. Then you can avoid attrition, you can avoid all those other aspects.
Great. So let's wrap up the podcast. It was a very nice discussion that I had with you. I had a lot of insights today with respect to the global regions that are hiring, the opportunities that we can tap into, the capabilities that we can make, even for a fresher or a senior professional. Anything else that you want to add on before we, wrap up the podcast?
Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay relevant, and take life as it comes, one day at a time. Let's not look too far ahead, because every day so many tools are coming. If you keep chasing them, you will lifelong chase them. Don't chase tools, chase vision, chase purpose, chase learning. These are the things you need to chase. So you are in the progressive zone. Don't chase people, don't chase money, don't chase appraisals, don't chase bosses. Then you are going into a zone where your energy is getting sucked. So better be here and be every day, a learner, and come up with your new stories. That's what.
Thank you, Rajesh.